you're at Disney World. Watching Offices this year is like you pay all that money, you get on the flight, you go there, you stand in line, and then only ride you can go on is Small World. Just terrible. First of all, let me go ahead and let me shout out the original Penguin. Penguin's been taking care of my gear for about 6 or 7 months, man. And just want to tell you, thank you, Penguin. You see this little flowery thing, doing a great job. We'll see if we can get you some. We can see if we can get you some 3X or 4X shirts.
Hurtful.
I'm a 49ers and Panthers fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm happy and sad at the same time. And you're a New England fan. We're going to talk about where New England is at the moment, in a moment. But, man, I'm really struggling because I'm just going to start off. I had all of my notes of this and that. Let me tell you something. I have no way I'm going to do the analysis work today. I'm tired of it, bro. The last couple of weeks, I have been tired. Let me show you this. Let me show you. Just zoom in, right? This is what I started off with, right? Okay, this is what I started off with. Okay? So I had all of this stuff going on, right? Bang, boom, right? So this is how I start off all my notes, right? I have like things that I'm thinking about. So I start off and I go, all right, let me get me a nice smoothie so I can start my day off right? Smoothie. Got the, space heater going. Nothing's better than a space heater. I grew up in a space heater era, right? Don't keep it plugged in late at night.
No.
And you'll be good. So I got the space heater. I got my smoothie. Bang. I got my 49ers blanket sitting in there, getting my office ready because sitting out on my deck is a little bit nippy right now. So I'm ready. And I start off. All right. Ravens. Who do I think of? Lamar Jackson and number 89, Mark Andrews. What should we expect? Bang. Kenyon Drake, expect him to run well. Panthers defense, I expect them to show up. Then I go Ravens rankings, offense, defense. Baker's 1 of 5, completion percentage 54.9%, 55%, right? Last in the NFL. So I'm getting all my stuff. CMC traded after week 6, rushing, all of that stuff. Then I got which Baker Mayfield are we going to get? Roquan Smith, acquisition, linebacker for the Bears. Man, I get all of this stuff prepared and ready. And then the freaking game starts. Bro, you're talking about disappointed. Disappointed? Then I start looking and watching. My man is 7 for 8 for 34 yards. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is awful. The Panthers, at that moment, as the first quarter's going, it was their 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th, 3 and out, most in the NFL. So here's what I wrote down. Let me tell you what I wrote down when I was watching the Carolina Panthers in Baltimore. It's supposed to be the Smitty Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't. I said watching this Baltimore game was like watching golf before Tiger Woods became a professional golfer.
Real dry.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like
awful.
my grandpa Frank used to watch sitting in the living room. He would watch golf, fall asleep. I come into the living room, try to change it. Boy, don't change that channel. I'm watching it. Grandpa, you asleep. I was watching that. Now I have to mosey on out. Yes.
Yeah. It's like
Man,
a
it
white
is
noise
awful.
machine.
Oh my gosh, it was awful watching. And I understand Steve Wilkes has to say, hey, our superstars need to play better. And I said it, bro, it's just terrible watching. PJ Walker seems more comfortable. He seems more competent. He seems like he knows exactly where to go, where not to go with the ball. Baker Mayfield's back to double clutching, not reading defenses. He's looking to run that can't run. Just not very good. It's tough to watch. And then he comes out. I'm not finished.
Oh, keep going. Sorry. My apologies.
Then he comes out and says, one of the reporters asked him, how does it feel that you don't have good job security? Oh, it sucks. And I prepare with my heart. I prepare. I. But then when they asked him about the game, we. Man, I was watching some of those plays like before I started, I was starting to get hot. I'm like, man, and here's why I'm upset. Because quarterbacks in this league right now are getting paid a ton of money. The quarterbacks also touch the football every play. Quarterbacks are also given all the leeway. They're given keys to these young quarterbacks are given, because they have a driver's permit, they're given a $300,000 car with no experience and told, go ahead and drive. You be okay, little Johnny. And then they wreck the car and they say, well, the light changed too fast. How about you weren't paying attention? There is zero accountability in the NFL with quarterbacks because they're so frightened because of how college is doing them. Then they come into the league being treated with no accountability, no responsibility, and it's everybody else's fault. And you know who gets deemed the thug, the arrogant, the want to be relatable, the idiot, the wide receivers. It's either I was overrated. Steve's overrated. He was a crybaby. I'm a thug. I'm a this. I'm a that. Hey, also keep hitting that subscribe to this thug's podcast, please. Right? Hit that subscribe button. Thank you. You know what I like to do. Listen, I'm not going to cuss at you. I'm not going to tell you this. I'm not going to flex on Paycheck. Here's what I'm going to do. Every time you watch it, you comment. You hitting that subscribe. We getting that view.
That's right.
And the YouTube algorithm pays us every time you view it. So keep viewing it. Keep viewing my stuff on social media and on this channel and tell me how idiotic and how bad I am. Because you just keep giving me those views.
It'd be a real shame. Yeah, I'd hate to see people smash that like and subscribe button. I would hate to see it. It would ruin my holiday.
Oh, you know what? Don't even like it. Give me a thumbs down. I asked everyone, 12,400 subscribers. If you dislike it, hit the thumbs down. Actually, hit the thumbs down at all. How many videos do we have? Like 27. Hit all the 22 videos. Actually, one video has 2.4 million views. Dislike that one too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, people hate that one. Yeah.
Every time you do it. But listen, I'm just tired of watching these quarterbacks. It's one thing to go to. It sucks to be in a dead end job.
Oh yeah.
Right? To go watching these receivers run routes and they have no chance. Zero chance of catching the football because he doesn't have a chance of reading the coverage, delivering the ball on time, and not double clutching it. It's just awful watching it.
As bad as Baker wasn't nearly as bad as what happened in New England with Zach Wilson and his post game. Was it even remotely close to it? Have you ever seen anything that bad?
Yep. Yes, I have.
Talk on it.
Well, I remember Jimmy Clausen had said the same thing here. We play terrible as an offense. We play terrible as an offense. Okay. And you picked that up, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We played terrible on offense. And after the game, he apologizes to the defense. Right? And he apologizes to the defense because he doesn't like the way I responded to his bad play. I'm not apologizing. I'm like, well, why is he apologizing to them? What I should have said, but I don't even remember what I said. But what I really like, even now going back, what I really remember is why are you apologizing to them, bro? I gotta play with your sorry self. I gotta run routes. I have to run routes that I know you can't throw or read. I remember one time and I got a pretty good relationship with Jimmy Clausen. I actually don't even call him Jimmy. I call him James, his real name. And great dude. We actually got to catch up when I go back to LA to have lunch. So he's married, got 2 kids, man. He's doing great. But I remember one time, Rip Shear was the quarterback's coach, and I had got on Jimmy one time because we were doing every Friday we should do 2 minutes. And it's just what I'm telling this story because it gives you an understanding of some of these young quarterbacks who are given the keys to the kingdom and aren't prepared or ready.
Oh, and for people who don't remember too, Jimmy Clausen was big of a deal coming out of high school, going to Notre Dame as prospects get. Like he left high school early, skipped prom, went to Notre Dame early. Like he was the golden boy. Yes.
In the limo.
Yes. Like got the goldenest of golden boys.
Yes. Got there and couldn't throw over 50 yards without it being a duck.
Right.
Had no great arm strength. Right. So we're in practice one time, and every Friday we would do 2 minutes. And so it was a play where I was in the slot and I had a seam. A seam is when you go up the crease of it, and if it's covered 2, boom, boom, nod, and then I would have to cross the face of the safety. You remember when Dak Prescott threw that seam read to CeeDee Lamb and he didn't cross the face of the safety, he went over the top? That's what they're expecting. So I have the seam and I'm supposed to release. Well, Jimmy decides he didn't throw me the ball. And I release, but instead of going outside, I cut inside and reestablish back outside across the face. In 2 minutes, we need to go ahead and score. Coach Fox was big on situational football. So he said, and so Jimmy drops back. And what Jimmy does is Jimmy starts a argument between me and him because he didn't throw me the football. But the reason he didn't throw me the football told me everything I needed to know and why I lost all professional football respect for Jimmy at that moment. Love Jimmy as a person. As a football player, don't want to play with him. There's a huge difference.
What did he say?
Jimmy goes, you can't release inside. You're supposed to release outside. And I looked at Jimmy and I said, what? What did you just say? He said, you heard me. You're supposed to release outside, not inside. I said, see, Jimmy, that's your damn problem right there. He goes, what? I said, you're looking at me at the release. You're supposed to be looking at the safety to hold the safety. So when you actually throw me the ball, that you don't get my head knocked off, stupid. But see, that's your problem. You're looking at me from the start, which bringing a safety, which means I'm going to get in trouble. So you trying to do my job, and I actually know how to do your job better than you know how to do your job, and I can do my job. Hence why we got Cam Newton the next year, and John Fox was fired.
Yeah.
And so Rip was like, Steve, just calm down. He's young. I'm like, no, I can't calm down. I'm 30-something years old, and I'm playing with a quarterback. In other words, I'm in a dead-end job. I'm going to work. I'm going to get paid, but I know whatever is expected of me, I'm hamstringed because my quarterback is worried about my release when he needs to be worrying about the safety. He over here eyeing me when he needs to be eyeing the safety, looking at the coverage. Instead of confirming where he's going before the snap of the ball, he's discovering where he can't go because he's watching me 3 seconds. Think about it. He says, said Hut, and he's looking at me faster than I'm able to get off the snap. That ain't where your eyes are supposed to be.
Staring you down. Like just
staring me down. Like that. And what happened in that and what I'm saying was happening, what's this rant about, Steve? Follow me. This rant is the league is a driven base. The league is driven by having good quarterback play. And when you don't have good quarterback play and you have zero accountability, you have what's going on in Carolina. What it started in Cleveland is coming in Carolina, and now it's also in Denver, right? And it's also happening with the New York Jets. The reporter asked Zach Wilson, do you think, and he goes, no. Son, you have lost 7. Well, first of all, they have lost how many? Is it 17? 14 consecutive losses to the New England Patriots. And last NFL record. And the last time you played the New England Patriots, you gifted them 2 touchdowns, 2 turnovers. Zach Wilson is the new age quarterback. And here's the new age quarterback. You ready? He's not a Patrick. Yeah. He's not a Patrick Mahomes that can actually play. No. He's a quarterback that can't play, is getting all the credit and getting zero blame for anything. Zach Wilson is awful. Terrible. Baker Mayfield is awful. You know who else is awful? Mac Jones is awful as well.
He owns it. He talks about it.
Thank you. Yes, he does. He at least talks about it.
Yes.
Right? We were on NFL Network, and we didn't get to do this segment, so I'm going to do this segment now. The Tennessee Titans, they asked me, do I believe the Tennessee Titans need to upgrade at the quarterback position? What do you say, Coley?
I think they have potentially the most mediocre starting quarterback in football, and I don't know if you look at the current NFL landscape that that's a bad thing. I think they did a good job getting Malik Willis because it's like, hey, let's take this shot.
He's not ready.
He's not ready. He's not ready.
He's not even close to being ready.
Getting him when you don't need him is good. Like the Jets needed Zach Wilson. That's the difference. The Jets needed Zach Wilson, and he stinks. Malik Willis might stink right now, but they don't need him to play. They only needed him to play because Tannehill got hurt for 2 weeks. Yep. But they don't need him for their season outlook. Even if they do need him to play, they can hand the ball to King Henry. Like, it's a much difference. They've got Mike Vrabel. I don't even think Salah's a bad coach, but Mike Vrabel's more established. He's got more of an idea of what he's doing. He's got a better game plan. So should they? They probably do think the grass is greener with a couple of guys. No, but the grass ain't always greener.
Here's why I don't believe the Tennessee Titans play a different brand of football. They play hand the ball off to King Henry. They're not trying to go shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Their brand of football, they are 54% of the time they're running the football. They're third or second highest running team in the NFL. Their brand of football is hand the ball off. They are not trying to say they will have to change the whole structure of their offense. They will have to get receivers. Well, they don't even have to get receivers to really run better routes because Robert Woods is known for being a deep threat. The problem is they're not really throwing the ball deep threat. They just want an intermediate run the football. They ran a football. Do you think Patrick Mahomes would hand the ball off 22 times in a row?
If that's how he came into the league, maybe, but he definitely wouldn't like it. He wouldn't like it.
Though Patrick Mahomes that played at Texas Tech has never handed the ball off 22 times.
Oh, for sure not. No.
So no. So my point is the New York Jets are in trouble with Zach Wilson as their quarterback. Because he has until they get some accountability, hold his feet to the fire, you're gonna constantly keep having this brand of football. I have no analyst work today. I'm just going to complain about what I saw. That's all I got today. So ask me whatever you want about any team, and I'm going to tell you how I feel. So
let's
hold on.
Let's stick right there. Okay.
Before I let me finish. In the third quarter, the 10 minute 15 second mark in the third quarter, the Panthers had the biggest play of the day, which was with 24 yards. Bro, 24 yards in a football game is like saying you're going to eat 2 Lay's potato chips after you open it in the bag. Like, why are we celebrating that?
You can't. You can't.
Awful. So by the time the third quarter comes, smoothie's done. Man, I mean chips. I didn't got a pop. I'm like, well, you know.
What's the point anymore? It was just giving up. Yeah.
Who cares? Huh? Let me eat to make myself feel better.
Big mood.
Yeah.
Been there many times. Yeah.
Should have worked out. It's like, nah, I'm good. Thanksgiving's Thursday. I'll be okay. I'll get in a steam shower. I'll do the country club workout. Put on some sweet sweat, lather myself up to sweat extra. So, yeah. So go ahead. You tell me what you want to know, bro. Unfiltered. Let's go.
Well, let's talk about Elijah Moore, second-year receiver, first-round draft pick.
Done. He is so done. Elijah Moore, Wilson, them the boys is hot.
But Moore's been the most publicly hot, and he was, credit to him, he called this early, and people were like, "Nah, man, he's young, he's coming back from injury, give him a break, you're acting crazy. No, we will not trade you." And now he's posting pictures of himself throwing the ball on Instagram. He's like, "Listen, man, it can't be worse. It cannot be worse with me under center." So if let's put second year, let's put young Smitty on this Jets team. Let's say you're Elijah Moore right now. What's your next move? What's truly going through your head?
Man, so what I would do is I'm working on releases, different splits. If they tell me, hey man, we want you to run a comeback, +2, we need you +2 outside the numbers, run 18 yards comeback. I'm looking at my wide receivers coach, I'm looking at my offensive coordinator, I'm looking at my head coach. I'm about to work on my receiving game. I'm about to see. It really helped me too. So shout out to James. I appreciate it because it really helped me develop even in my later years, different kind of routes. All right. I will get 2 yards inside the numbers, actually 3 yards inside the numbers, burst the release, wiggle, and run a comeback. I would try to figure out how I can run all these different routes from different splits. I would literally just say to hell with it. My quarterback ain't gonna throw me the ball anyway, so I might as well sharpen up my game and be one of the best route runners out there.
Yeah, for the next job.
Yes, for the next job. Yes. Because I know I'm not going to be here much longer.
When it comes to locker rooms, like, are people making too big of a deal out of these Zach Wilson quotes, or is it that bad?
What people are doing is obviously something's going on that's starting to bubble up.
Oh, yeah.
This is a team who should be this is a team who potentially can make the playoffs. And here's the problem. If they make the playoffs, who are they going to say took them to the playoffs? Do you think they're going to be publicly saying the defense? No. You know who's going to get all the credit? Zach Wilson.
Golden boy. Oh, yeah.
And so that's what's going to bubble up. Zach Wilson ain't doing nothing but holding his team back.
Big time. If they had taken Justin Fields in that draft, the Jets might be the best team in the AFC this year. Obviously, Fields just got hurt. But if they had taken Justin Fields too, the Jets would be terrified. They damn sure don't lose 14 straight to the Patriots. I know that for a fact because Justin Fields just beat the dog crap out of us a month ago. So yeah, him being on that Jets team, just being competent would be horrifying. But they didn't. Yeah. They took Zach Wilson. And they took Zach Wilson in such a peculiar way. I know you were working that draft cycle. Do you remember how the narrative was the draft starts at 3 when San Francisco traded up?
Yeah.
No one even considered the Jets taking. The Jets themselves didn't consider taking anyone else. That's why San Francisco could move up to 3 because they were like, oh, well, they're taking Zach Wilson. They're locked in. It was as if the whole league bullied the Jets into making that pick. I don't think they scouted a single other quarterback. For whatever reason, they were locked on the kid from BYU. And I'll never understand. It's like he's not big. I understood it with Josh Allen coming out. He was huge. He had a cannon arm. I never understood what happened with Zach Wilson during that entire draft cycle.
You want to know what's something that's really interesting?
Yes.
I was at the BYU-Utah game, the opening game, and I don't remember. I didn't even know Zach Wilson was the quarterback because that's what he did. Nothing. What I remember from that game, 2 things. I remember it got delayed because of thunder showers, and the other thing, I remember the tight end for the BYU was uncoverable. I don't remember Zach Wilson being on that squad, bro.
That's bad, especially at college. Like if you're supposed to be the second pick, that should be all eyes should be on him.
I do not remember Zach Wilson doing anything of significance. That go, oh man. And when I started to remember, I was like, and my son said, Dad, he was the quarterback. I was like, I didn't notice. The only thing I noticed, even going into the draft, I was like, oh, BYU. I jokingly made fun because I'm a Utah guy, grad.
Right.
And so I wear my Utah stuff. And I was like, yo, I always discount somebody from BYU. Even if they're Fred Warner, who else? From New England Patriots. He's a BYU kid too.
Who's BYU on the Patriots?
Van Noy.
Oh, Kyle Van. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
BYU guy. Dislike him because he's a BYU guy. Respect the hell out of him. He's a great football player, right?
Sure.
Like you can't. It's like Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Ohio. Like there's just these rivals where even though you know the dude can play, you're kind of like you're side-eyeing him. He can play, but he's all right. Yeah,
there's something wrong with him. Yeah,
yeah, all right. Listen. The New York Jets got a problem on their hands.
Oh yeah, and I think it was big of Saleh because he'd been solid, being like, "This is our guy. We're sticking with him." And then this week he was like, "This is not our guy. We are not necessarily sticking with him." That's because otherwise he's going to lose the lock. He's going to lose the rest of the team.
No, he's going to lose his job. How about that? Damn the locker room. He's going to lose his job.
Yeah.
Right? Let's man.
I was going to say, what else genuinely like ruin your mood this week? Because I mean, I could bash Zach Wilson all day, but what?
Well, one of the things that Man, I watched the Philly and Colts game, right? I was shocked. Until this week, the Colts they have yet to have opening drive points. How shocking is that? The only team that has never, until this week, this weekend that passed, has never, not a touchdown, any points in their opening drive. This is the first time ever. Wow. Now they end up going to lose. And I'm not necessarily concerned about the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 8-1. They have a head start. No big deal. November football with the weather, injuries, there's enough film on guys where you're going to have this lull period of people getting figured out. And then December comes, they're going to adjust, hit into the playoffs, boom, and it's unpredictable. But right now, it's sloppy football. It is awful football. So I'm not too shocked or concerned about the Minnesota Vikings losing, because if you think about it, till about the second quarter, the Cowboys and Minnesota, it wasn't actually a huge blowout. Even though it was 40-3, it was a game though that in the first half, you're kind of like, man, this is going back and forth, because they had some stalls, but then they just run away with it.
Right.
Jarosol, he gets hurt. They're really good left tackle. Think about it. 383 snaps. He's only given up 10 pressures. He goes out, and Micah Parsons is balling. But when Darrisaw goes out, Michael Parsons and this whole defense goes bananas. Mm-hmm. And I'm not concerned about Minnesota, because here's what I love that I saw. When you don't have a strong offensive line or you have a weak link, we know what they have said about Kirk Cousins. But, man, I'll take a Kirk Cousins behind a good offensive line. Then I'll take a Baker Mayfield. Then I'll take a Russell Wilson. And why am I putting it into those two categories? Because here's my take on Russell Wilson. Kirk Cousins is a manager. You need somebody who can manage the game. Because if you don't have a quarterback that understands how to manage the game, and then you have a head coach who doesn't know how to manage the game, you know what that's called? The Denver Broncos. It's called, my old coach used to say, you got two blind dogs in the meat house. They're it's a dead rat over there. They think that's dinner because they can't see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fighting the walls.
I never understood my coach, God rest his soul, is Coach Richard Williams. He used to always tell me, Steve, don't be a blind dog in the meat house. I was like, what does that mean? Well, you're seeing it right now with the Denver Broncos. Two blind dogs in the meat house. They have no idea what they're doing. Give me Kirk Cousins, who needs to know what's going on. He will study the playbook, because they are both running the same offense.
All right. Newsflash,
everybody. Kevin O'Connell was a quarterback coach with the Washington Commanders when Kirk Cousins was the coach, was the player, when he took over for RG3. Nathaniel Hackett was the quarterback, offensive coordinator / pass coordinator with the Green Bay Packers under Matt LaFleur. And Matt LaFleur was under who? Sean McVay. They were all together in Washington running the same offense. Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. And guess what? You got one guy who knows how to run his offense, who knows how to manage the clock, the plays. And you got another guy who's I'm not going to say Russell Wilson what he is or what he isn't. It ain't my business. I just want you to win. That's what people care about. Whether you want to ride, whether you're corny, not corny, I don't care about all that. But at the bottom line, you're the quarterback who has said, I don't want to carry things anymore. It'd be nice to be this and that. And you out there terrible. Give me a stat about
what's he carrying?
Nothing. You know what he's carrying? A briefcase full of money. That's what he's carrying. Because he is robbing them. Robbing.
They would have the same record as the Eagles if they just scored 18. If they just scored 18 points every single week.
No, they can't. They can't score 18 points every single week.
And so 18, guess what? I mean, you were talking about 24-yard plays earlier being 2 chips. What's 18 points the equivalent of? How many chips is that? 3, 3.5?
Man, listen, I don't care what it is, but they're awful. It's terrible. It's a shame. They trade away Bradley Chubb, and yet the defense is still Josie Jules. No, Josie Jules.
Jewel.
Man, he is playing incredible for nothing because the quarterback gonna trick it off. And then it's breaking news. Tiptoe Tony himself, Gordon, is released. They should have released him. The biggest mistake he ever made was trying to ask for so much money in San Diego, which are now the Los Angeles Raiders, because he deserved more. Got Austin Eckler his career. Thank you. Austin Eckler said, appreciate it. Like this dude was telling teammates in the offseason, man, I'm not coming to training camp until they pay me. Let's see who else.
Well, is that for him asking for money? Is that him being a bad teammate, or is that like, hey, I see how it's going with running backs in the NFL right now. Like, let me get mine before it's over.
Well, first of all, you got to be actually a damn good running back, right? Because did he get paid?
Yes.
No, he didn't. They let him
not
go.
Crazy, but the Broncos paid him. The Broncos paid him.
He didn't get the money he thought he was going to get.
For sure, no, but he got more than I think a lot of. Would he get 12 for that first contract? And
12 total.
Listen, the people aren't paying running backs, so you got to take what someone's going to give you.
But my point is that some of these players value themselves more than their actual numbers, right? And somebody might be watching this could be saying, "Well, Steve, that's the same with you." You better go look up my numbers, sir. Go look up my numbers, please.
What Davante Adams hit a mean route to win that game.
Oh,
he had PS2. And PS2 is as lockdown as lockdown gets, but you can't win them all. It is what it is. Nope. You just can't win them all.
It's
what
tough.
else from the rest? What else from the rest of the? Because it really is just offense this year. Offense is how much does it upset you watching NFL offense? Let's not even put a team on it. Just NFL offenses in 2022.
Well, the Denver Broncos, right here on my notes, I say the Denver Broncos, they're the get right team. You want to get right? Play the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos are equivalent to. They're the team that Alabama would play in the middle of the season, like Austin Prairie, that you want to play where you want to keep moving up the rankings, but you don't want to actually play a real good team. That's the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos were Austin Prairie for the Alabama Crimson Tide this weekend.
I mean, the Raiders looked broken last week.
And they got
people crying in press conferences.
They were emotional. They got right when they went to play Denver.
No, it's great. Everything's great.
Yep. Like playing Russell Wilson, playing the Denver Broncos led by Russell Wilson is like getting a fortune cookie that gives you numbers to the Powerball. Like you just gonna get right. You're gonna win.
With the rest of the league, though, because I know we've spoken about how so many offensive coordinators are just running the same stuff because they all come from the same tree.
Yes.
Is that like our defensive coordinators? Do they have a tree now? Like, do they just have a system that knows? Because last year, what was it? It was too high. That's how you take away Mahomes. That's how you beat Mahomes. And now Mahomes is like, no, that doesn't work on me anymore. But for the rest of the league can't really move the ball. Is that like what is going to change so that people can watch exciting
You got to get
offenses again?
You got to get defensive coordinators who will get some different kind of offensive coordinators. Right? Nathaniel Hackett now has Clint Kubiak calling the plays. I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett is going to make it, bro. And he seems like such a likable guy.
Oh yeah.
But he is. But that just shows you not every coordinator is prepared to lead men.
Because this happened with McDaniels too. Why do NFL teams not understand when a coordinator is working directly with like one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks of all time? Maybe that's more part of the formula.
Well, because these offensive, because it's also a job interview. There are people who are great interviewers, and there are people who are bad interviewers. You don't really know you have a bad employee until what? You hire the employee.
Yeah.
Nobody like when you hire an employee, like when you call their references, they're not gonna say, hey, this guy sucks. He's a bum. They're gonna go, yeah, Adam Gase. Everybody was pushing Adam Gase when he was with Denver with Peyton Manning. He goes to Miami, didn't work out. He goes to the Jets, and then it's like, whoa. I like Adam Gase, but watching him coach, it's a struggle.
Yeah, big struggle.
But you don't know that the dude is. People are gonna. Here's the thing with Nathaniel Hackett that got him in trouble. So I heard that Nathaniel Hackett was going to Denver and he was going to bring Aaron Rodgers with him because Aaron was done.
Correct. Yep.
Then Aaron takes the money, hence why Davante Adams was like, man, I'm out, bro. You told me I was going to get paid before you, and now you do this? Okay. So Nathaniel Hackett goes for sloppy seconds, which is Russell Wilson. And guess what, Nathaniel? That was a bad call. Russell Wilson about to get you fired.
And they can't move on from Russell Wilson because of how the salary.
And they just extended him.
Yeah, they
extended him. Like, I don't understand what practices were you watching that made you think that Russell Wilson was going to turn it on in the game. I said it and I keep saying it. What do you think is going to happen in Denver? I mean, in Cleveland. When Deshaun Watson, I just don't, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson, well, first of all, Deshaun Watson is not going to save their season. Like, they're not all of a sudden going to reset the season and get all of games that Deshaun Watson haven't played, and then he's going to be able to. Defense isn't playing. Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator, it seems like he's lost that team. It's bad, man. It is just awful football.
The only reason I know Joe Woods' name is because every Browns fan I follow hates him. Hates him with the passion and the fire of 1,000 burning suns. Like, just fear. I see Joe Woods' name more than I see my own family's name when it's on Sundays, because I thought the Browns were actually going to turn it around when they beat the Bengals on Halloween. And they haven't won since, have they? I don't think they have. Like, they were in a close game with Miami, and then they got the doors blown off them this week. It hurt for me as a fan of football, not the Browns. I hate seeing a player like Myles Garrett have a season just lit on fire, just wasted.
But what's crazy is fans are saying, Myles Garrett, you're not impacting the game. You're not. Listen, I'm telling you, going to a dead-end job sucks, bro. And people watch it go say, well, what about the money? When you're over there getting the score ran up on you, You're not thinking about, well, I'm clearing this. You're going, man, this is terrible.
Well, since you brought up Deshaun, what should he and the Browns be trying to get out of the rest of this season? Is because obviously the sights are set on next year.
Well, Coach Kevin Stefanski is trying to keep his job. That's what I think.
Yep.
Right? I don't think Jacoby Brissett is doing a bad job. The defense just can't hold up their end of the bargain. Chubb is killing it, running
Monster.
Outstanding. So the New England, listen, it's a lot going on, right? Watching the offenses this year, you're at Disney World. Watching the offenses this year is like you pay all that money, you get on the flight, you go there, you stand in line, and then only ride you can go on is Small World. So disappointing.
Nightmare
Just
fuel.
terrible. So armchair quarterback.
Yep.
Fantasy versus reality. Deebo Samuels made me get a good winner. Look at that. Did a good job. DJ Moore. Now, when we did the podcast last week, I wasn't aware that Baker Mayfield was starting. So that was disappointing.
For a lot of reasons, yeah.
A lot of reasons, yeah.
Jonathan Taylor missed by 1.5 yards. This is the game we play. This is why it's so difficult to do this. 94 yards, you needed 95.5. It's brutal.
Well, it was interesting is my take on Jeff Saturday. Everybody said I'm hating. Again, people, I don't want to be a head coach. I don't even want to be a receivers coach. Actually, I don't even want to coach at all.
Right.
But what was very evident is no matter whoever the coach is, Jeff Saturday or Frank Wright, this team is in trouble. This is a rebuild. And the rebuild isn't necessarily because they're on a good team. When you lose your defensive coordinator, he takes some of those staff members. You leave your offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni, and they leave. You can't. Next man up doesn't always work.
No.
And it's very apparent that Frank Wright is missing his right-hand man. And Nick Sirianni talked about how Frank Wright is a mentor to him. Man, these guys, they grow together, right? There's a cluster of coaches, right? And you talk about Frank Wright. So here's how it went. They were all in Kansas City. It was Doug Peterson, Frank Wright, Matt Nagy, Nick Sirianni, all those guys. Then they go to Philly, and then Doug Peterson, the head coach, quarterback coach, is Matt Nagy, offense coordinator Frank Wright, his right-hand guy, Nick Sirianni. Then they all go to Matt Nagy goes to Chicago. We know how that goes. Doug Peterson stays. We know how that goes. Frank Wright goes to the Colts. We know how that goes. Look at this amazing thing. All three of those coaches have been successful, right? They all have been successful. Doug Peterson, championship. Matt Nagy, successful. Frank Wright, successful. They all leave, and systematically, they all have declined as their guys. Doug Peterson's Frank's guy, and Matt Nagy, and they all go their separate ways. Then Frank goes to the Colts. Sirianni goes, and what happens? Doug Peterson's fired, decline. Frank Wright gets fired, decline. Matt Nagy, fired, decline. It'd be interesting to see how Nick Sirianni continues to go as he becomes more and more successful and people start picking off that tree of what he does. It will impact them the same way that the Green Bay Packers are suffering with Nathaniel Hackett leaving and going to Denver. He's not successful, and the Green Bay Packers aren't successful. So it's a tough It's a tough thing.
When we talk about that coaching tree specifically too, I'm almost more impressed that those guys were able to have success with the quarterbacks that they were given. You talk about Nagy with the Bears. He got Trubisky to the playoffs. You know what I mean? If they had taken
the defense got Trubisky to playoffs.
for sure. But it's like
now, that's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about the Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. Look how quickly the quarterback came off your tongue when we know
No. I said the coach took the quarterback to the playoffs. I was not giving him credit. I was saying he took the quarterback to the playoffs.
It was the defense.
Correct.
It wasn't the quarterback. It was Vic Fangio and that defense that helped the Chicago Bears. And Nick Fangio goes to – that gives him the job in Denver, and he's not very good either.
For sure, because the quarterback's bad. That was my whole point. I was saying the quarterback in Chicago was bad. Like, if you were saying the system failed, was it the system or was it the Colts have had 5 different quarterbacks the last 4 years. None of them great. You know what I mean? So Frank Reich had zero consistency year to year. Was it his system that was bad, or was he given bad groceries to cook with?
He was given bad groceries to cook with.
Right.
And then when his guy Nick Sirianni leaves, now he has worse groceries and an awful grocery list.
Yeah.
An awful grocery list. He's over there, they're like, oh, before it was like, hey, prime steak, a petite filet. Now they're out there getting chuck roast, right? They're out there doing short ribs, no meat on them, talking about smoke them all day, they'll be fine. Just nothing. You got a pastry chef making dinner. You got a sous chef over there doing pastries. You got You got the bus boy waiting tables.
Forgetting everyone's order.
Oh, you got the hostess. She's parking cars. She's in the valet. Just backwards.
So that's where
you're closed all the other days, but only open on Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter. Like this, I literally was watching. Talk about Carolina. How about Demarcus Robinson out there looking like a Pro Bowler? Only the second time in his life, in his whole career, to get over 100 yards. He's out there looking like a Pro Bowler. Man, it was just bad football.
Yeah.
Bad football.
Yeah. We've got the football's so bad right now, the Lions, they've won 3 straight.
I know.
I didn't
think the Detroit Lions were going to beat Coach Dayball. I thought he'd be ready. But they got some injuries, though. They got some injuries. So how about Kenny Golladay, making a play? How about that? Got a standing ovation making a catch. I hope he does. I hope he does well, man. I really do.
Is it as simple as he got paid and he rested on his laurels? Is it that simple?
No, it's not that simple.
Okay. So what's going on there?
The system. He was in a really good system. And they thought that system was transferable. Sometimes you gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful with guys who are in great systems. And you go somewhere else, and then you realize that the system made them. And there's nothing wrong with the system,
right?
But you just got to be careful and understand. Like Kenny Golladay, when you go back and watch him in Detroit, it wasn't like he was blowing by people and routing them up. Man, he was big box. He was a big body, boxing guys out, catching the football. But he wasn't like his numbers. He wasn't like doing things like a Cooper Kupp, where you see him just like, oh man, Cooper Kupp he's crossing this guy over, he's doing this. It wasn't like that. It was just like He was putting up numbers. It was high volume, right? I always use this analogy, but you remember Ken Walters? That was the number 2 receiver for the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
When Andre Johnson, I believe the future Hall of Famer Andre Johnson, was putting up those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
After he was cut with the Houston Texans, do you know where where Ken Walters went after he was cut by the Houston Texans?
I'm going to guess the Panthers.
No.
Okay.
He played 2 years with the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I don't remember that at all. No, I'm not going to pretend like I did.
Because the system. He went from one system to another system. And the roles that he was asked to do was totally different. And sometimes guys go to a system. Another example. Wes Walker. I love Wes Walker. Great. I think he's Hall of Famer, put up great numbers, right? Just numbers wise. But Wes Walker has only impacted the NFL under 2 offenses. Do you know what those 2 offenses are? New England Patriots.
I happen to recall, and then Denver.
Yeah. That's it. He had no success anywhere else. He was a punt returner. He was a special teams guy.
Right.
That's going to a certain system can help you. That's why I think personally, that's why some guys like Julian Edelman didn't. First of all, Julian doesn't need to go play football anymore. But if Julian Edelman would have went somewhere else, I don't think he would have the career he had. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just systems.
1,000%. I mean, he was a literal quarterback when he was drafted.
Yeah, at Kent State. Yeah.
Spent years on
working on his craft
before. Yes. So,
and I love me some Edelman, and I respect the hell out of him. But I'm also looking at it too as you can't always success in one team doesn't transfer to the next.
1,000%.
Right? And it's not because the player can't play. It's sometimes I was talking to somebody, I'm not going to say, man, they went to another team and he said, bro, I was astonished at how bad these coaches were. I've heard stories of coaches taking old coaches' game plans and changing the date, and that's the gameplay for the week.
Not doing
happening right now in some teams that I'm not going to say.
It may be New England. It may be our offensive. I don't know what game plans these are for offense. Navy 1952. I don't know what offense we're running. Were you worried when you went from Carolina to Baltimore? Like, this may not be my system. No.
I knew because I knew the system.
Okay.
So the system, Gary Kubiak, and I remember when I went to Baltimore, when I talked to them, I knew the system, and the system, my thought was there was Torrey Smith, myself, Jacoby, Marlon, and I remember that I was like, okay, somebody's going to catch 100 passes. And the number 2 guy will catch 60. Well, I already was catching 60 or 70 passes on average. I wasn't catching 100 passes a game. So I was 100 passes a season. I only caught 105 passes was my Triple Crown year. Other than that, I was maybe 80, 70, 60. That was where I camped. So I knew Kevin Walters was catching 60 passes. He was having, 600 or 700 yards? Hell, that was my standard. I was getting 1,000 yards, 60 passes. So I was cool with that. So I knew what my expectation was going to be. Catch 60 passes, I get 1,000 yards. That was my stat. That was my status quo. So I was like, I'm good. Now, I struggled learning the offense because it was old school West Coast, which was concepts of you go Y stick basic. Y stick basic, if you're over here on the Y side, Y stick, I got the basic. If we're in the bunch, we free release or reverse release, and I have the basic, or I got the post, or if I'm backside, Y stick, I got the under. So Y stick will tell everybody what to do and then half back in the flat. I was used to in the office where I was told kind of what old New England used to be with Charlie Weiss. Dan Henry was my office coordinator in Carolina. I was told like Ole. Ole was, the old, like we got FIFA going on soccer. Ole, right? So Ole is flagged. So Ole is under. So Ole would be a out and a flag. Ole, out, flag. Hunt, hitch, under, streak, stop. Ghost tosser, go, out, tosser, two slants. Like, so that's what I learned. It was a different, or I had in college, I had a number system. 787. That means, so tight end has an 8, taking the middle of the field. Outside has 7s, corner routes. So that's what I went to. Then when I get to the league, my first year, we had old school West Coast, where there was no tosser. We called it lion or dragon. Drag, slant. Mm-hmm. And so it was just different. So, and then when I got to Baltimore with Kubiak, we would have a dig, and the dig was an 18-yard curl. Well, in the old one, dig was in college, 6 was a dig. That was a 16-yard in. Mm-hmm. We had a dig in the old one, deep in. When I go there, it's like it was backwards. So it was just different. It was different terminology. So I struggled to get the terminology in the beginning because I didn't know, I didn't have to. The last time I learned that type of West Coast offense was 14 years ago, my rookie year.
Right.
I had 2 other offenses after that I was in. So it took me a little bit of time to get it. I had some errors. I made some mistakes, but it was just a different, it was literally a whole different terminology. The secondary, old West Coast. So the defense, the offense I was in, we call defenses cover 1 was cover 1, cover 2 was 2 Kathy, or cover 2, 3 Buzz, cover 3, the old school Legion of Boom. Man, I get to the new West Coast. Cover 3 is called cover 7. I'm like, what? There is no such thing as cover 7.
Yeah, where'd these other 4 come from?
Yeah, I've never heard of cover 7 in my life. And that's the difference. So every terminology is different because they're reinventing the wheel. But at the end of the day, it's a goalpost at the end of each end zone, right. And the field is 55 yards wide. Mm-hmm. Can you beat your guy? Did you win on the slant or not? Or did you win on the tosser? Oh, did you win on the line? Did you win on the dragon? That's the difference.
Right. Did you play on Thanksgiving in your career?
Nope, and I'm glad I never had to because I love me some Thanksgiving. Nope, I have not. Some of the people I heard that, like, I
what
talked,
the mentality is.
So I talked to Zeke. Zeke was like Zeke. What was it? A couple of years ago, I talked to Zeke. I said, "Bro, how was it playing on Thanksgiving?" He said, "Steve, it's actually really good." I said, "Why?" I said, "It seemed like it sucks." He said, "Well, think about it. Normally, like we're all sitting there around and we're watching either God rest my soul. Shout out to my grandmother, Grandma Betty, Betty Smith. Actually, I have 2. So listen, I have 2 grandmothers, right? Or that were, one's now just have one that's living, but I had 2 grandmothers. One was Betty Young, the other one was Betty Smith.
That's awesome.
So Betty Smith, my dad's grandmother, my dad's mom, my grandmother, she helped raise me and taught me how to cook, right? She taught me, I learned how, by the age of 7, I learned how to make French toast.
There you go.
So my grandma, Betty, who I love, she passed a couple of years ago. She passed actually on the Saturday before Father's Day. And I was heading to LA, landed Saturday, and she was living with my aunt in Inglewood. We were actually going to stop by. My cousin Amber had Facebook message because my wife was on the internet on the airplane. I was asleep, and told me that my grandmother had she passed out, died in the liver, and her heart just gave out. And so I landed in LA, and I landed with text messages that my grandmother passed. And so every Father's Day, it kind of reminds me, I kind of get a little teary eyed.
Definitely.
Because it sucks I was going to see her.
Yeah.
And I love, what was I talking about? I got
playing on Thanksgiving.
Oh, playing on Thanksgiving. So I asked, he said, so listen, Zeke goes, usually, when you're young, you go play in a turkey bowl, you play football, then you come home, you have a snack, you're told to stay out of the kitchen, and you eat around what, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. He said, man, the great thing about working on Thanksgiving is you play football, your family comes to the game, and then you celebrate by usually with a win or loss, but you celebrate after the game Thanksgiving. Right. So you get to actually watch a family member playing a Thanksgiving game, and then y'all celebrate a nice dinner later that night after the game. So he said it's actually really cool. He said, because what are you doing most of the day, Steve? And I was like, you're right. We generally, if you're not cooking, you're sitting around. Like even when I'm frying the turkey, it's going to take me 2 hours to fry the turkey, but I'm only frying it before everything else is done. I don't have to sit in a house and smell all the delicious fumes of what I can't taste until it's all done. So that's the cool part. And I was like, man, I never thought of it that way.
I feel like it's probably cool for a Cowboy since they're going to play at home every year. Those traveling teams might not like it as much.
Yeah. That's why I asked Zeke. I didn't ask the traveling team. I remember I asked Tom and Davis. I think the Panthers had played the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. He was like, bro, it sucked because they literally had to fly back on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's where it doesn't sound as fun.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah. Hey. So
we've got Patriots Vikings at Minnesota. Primetime Kirk.
I know. MJD has said that Kirk does not play well after 1 p.m.
Sure doesn't.
Bro, and if you watch my Most Interesting Jobs, cheap plug, you go on there, he says nightshade. That brother needs to switch that nightshade because it is not working.
Because earlier you said you're not worried about the Vikings just because of that Cowboys loss.
I'm not really worried about the Vikings.
When would you, like, if they lose to the Patriots at home, primetime, short week, do you start to get a little worried?
No, because what are they, 8-3? Right now, it's just managing expectations. It's just trying to finish the season and get ready for the playoffs. Now, you're going to watch things that other people are noticing, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like the Philadelphia Eagles, it was a rough game. But are we going to sit there and dissect this is a team that's 9-1?
Well, the other way to look at it, too, winning a rough game isn't that easy.
No, it's not.
For teams that get off to these hot starts, this is what I was saying in the Bills earlier when we started this show. Like at the very beginning, it was like they can't win these tight games. They're only winning blowouts. And they've gotten a little better at that. But I do think there's some truth to the 18-1 Patriots. During that regular season, they were kicking the snot out of teams. And then the Giants, week 8 or week 17, they play them in a close one. And then it was like, oh, we haven't had to actually deal with this in the regular season. And then when it comes time to it in the Super Bowl, they lose that game because they didn't have that kind of, they didn't sharpen their teeth in those kind of games.
Well, they also had enough data on those teams that you got to remember the playoffs is really just about teams are going to go back and see everything that you didn't do well. And they're going to go, okay, week 1, there were like 3 or 4 plays that you gave up. Put that in the game plan. Week 2, there's 2 plays. Well, all of a sudden, you do 3 or 4 plays. Think about it. 3 or 4 plays after 10 weeks. That's 40 plays, bro.
Right.
That's a game. That is actually a whole game plan. That's why the playoffs are so unique. Because now teams go, they got scouts going, nope. I remember this game, remember that game. I remember this. I remember they did that. I remember, hey, at the 10-minute, 15-minute mark, Baker Mayfield, even though he's awful, he threw the ball to Terrence Marshall, and we're going to use that play. That's what they're going to do. Like, that's how it is. I am worried, though, for the New England Patriots because you guys just don't have an offense.
We don't have a quarterback.
I wrote on here.
We have 2 running backs.
Yeah, that's exactly what you got. Lack of offense on both ends. Watching the Jets and New England. And then y'all didn't even score. You scored on a punt return. Think about that. Oh, I wrote that down. Bro, what was it? 542 punts? And that was the first touchdown?
On the season?
On a punt return? On the season. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's crazy.
547 punts this season, and that was the first punt return for a touchdown.
So this is what I was thinking about. Mac Jones is the 4th best Jones on the Patriots this year. You've got Jonathan Jones, who's looking like a potential all-pro corner this year. You've got Jack Jones. Who's looking like a potential defensive rookie of the year candidate. And now you've got Marcus Jones, who just won that game with that punt return. Max, and this I'm taking it easy on him this week because he's gotten rid of the turnovers. If he's not going to,
the Jets are a really good team defensively, though.
Definitely. But it's like the thing that was killing him was those ill-timed turnovers, trying to force the ball to Davante Parker against the Steelers and the Dolphins, trying to do too much, he's getting off that first read. I thought this week was the best he's looked all year, and he still can't get the ball in the end zone. So it's like he's at least trending in the right direction. You know what I mean? Or at least it seems that way. And this would have been the first week where it was like, I start to more agree with people who are like the play calling's the problem more so than him. I think it was a healthy dosage of him being the problem earlier in the year. This week specifically, the combination of the Jets defense being a very strong unit and the play calling being mediocre is too kind of a word to say about the play calling, but bad. So,
do the New England Patriots get a new quarter? Do they draft a quarterback and do they get an offensive coordinator, or they keep the offensive coordinator and just draft a quarterback? And if they draft a quarterback, what needs to change, quarterback or coordinator?
I think they'll change the coordinator. I'm shocked we didn't bring in Bill O'Brien before this season started. He was available.
Well, he looks like he's going to be available after the season.
He'll be available again. I would love Frank Reich, but it sounds like that's an impossibility based on coaching trees, just sticking with coaching trees. Like you never cross to a different coaching tree. So I don't think that's going to happen. I do think he's a better coordinator than head coach, and I would love to see him in this offense, but that doesn't sound like it's even a remote possibility. I want Josh McDaniels to keep winning, stay out there, stay in Vegas, don't come back. We're all set. But yeah, Bill O'Brien would be a massive upgrade over what we've got going on right now. So I don't think they're going to move from Mac unless they can get a Colts or a Commanders draft pick, since they love trading for mediocre quarterbacks every offseason. So
talking about Commanders, how about Ron Rivera going with Taylor Heineke?
Smart.
And they said why? He says winning. So now Does Carson Wentz get another job?
Teams are so desperate. No, he shouldn't. Teams are so desperate. It's hard for me to say no. Like he'll get a backup job somewhere and then wiggle his way.
I don't think he's capable of being a backup.
What's the difference there mentally or physically? What's the difference?
Well, I've just heard he's one of those guys who he'll smile, but he just kind of like drags around, right? He's not one of those guys who's a bad guy. He just kind of like he's just a dude that just something's going on, but he doesn't want to say.
He's like Eeyore.
But yes, it's a cloudy day, right?
Now let me float this to you because I've heard some people talking about this, and a couple of weeks ago I would have said it's ridiculous. It feels a little less ridiculous to me today. There's a quarterback who's going to be a free agent at season's end. Does not seem to like his situation as much as he did these last couple of years. He plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Could he be coming home?
I don't know if Bill can do that.
Why?
I don't know. Like I just think the way it happened. I don't know.
It was weird for sure. Very weird. I think him coming back would be weird as well, but
super.
When he left, it was like, all right, we have 0 receivers. And it's not like we have 5 Hall of Famers out there right now, but it's substantially better than it was in 2019.
I don't think he comes back with Matt Patricia offense coordinator.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And listen, if he comes back and he's like, get me literally anyone else, win-win, double win for the Patriots. I would love that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting.
It'd be
yeah. Do you think he goes to San Francisco? Because they'll get off. Jimmy G's a free agent as well.
Jimmy G's balling, huh?
And winning.
You talk about Kyle Shanahan and Lynch has done a great job of managing that. Have they not?
Oh yeah.
That's how you screw up the quarterback situation, but make it right by just doing a lot of things behind closed doors.
Right.
You got to remember, this is an organization that said they are moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo.
Very public.
Rehab over there. Don't rehab with us. Rehab over there.
Don't even look at me. Yeah, go over there. Yeah.
But the team, I know where the team is over here. You, my friend, need to go over there. Like you saw, like he was rehabbing on the other field, like the injured field. Like, hey, right here, no, this is for 49ers. This is for 49ers, and that's for Jimmy. Man, Jimmy out there dropping dimes in Mexico City. They looked awesome.
So when you talk about Carson Wentz can't be a backup, Jimmy G, I imagine his stock in NFL circles after how he handled himself.
Skyrocketed.
Yeah, way through the roof.
Man, yeah. He's like, you know what he is? And, yeah. Bitcoin. He's like Bitcoin right now. Cryptocurrency, right? When he hits the free agent market, people are going to be giving up everything to get him. But lo and behold, at some point, they're going to go behind them books and they start to see.
That's very funny.
Don't put your cat. Don't put.
Bitcoin.
He is. Right now, he hot. He fire. At some point.
At some point, you're going to need to go pay your rent. And it's like, it's worth $5 today. What happened? Yeah, you were worth $20,000 yesterday. What happened,
bro? I had Bitcoin. I had about $90,000 in Bitcoin. Man, that thing worth like. I'm gonna look at it right now. Thanks for reminding me. I'm about to look right now. Like I just want to see how disappointed I am.
I remember people were talking about Bitcoin, and I was like, I'm all set. It's just not for me. And then
I was
started going up, I was like, it should have been for me. And then it came back down. I was like, all right, I didn't make or lose money. Oh no.
Well, it was down to 15. Now it's back up to 32,000.
There we go. The slow climb back.
So listen to this. All time, I was up $104,209.66. And my balance is $32,502.04.
This is just Bitcoin.
Well, it's all the crypto. So I've lost $70,000. Hey, hit that subscribe button and hit the comments.
Those thumbs downs, put them back up. We need those up now. Yeah, we're back up.
Yes, I will be wearing my this exact penguin shirt next podcast because I'm struggling.
Mac Jones.
What else?
You talk about fantasy versus reality. Bitcoin versus cold hard cash. That's fantasy versus reality.
I know. Struggle bus.
Mac Jones, 217.5 passing yards. Thursday, short week. He had 246 this week against Minnesota.
How much? 200 what?
217.5?
No.
Yeah, 217.
Ooh, that's a tough one because I can see him having that, but here's the problem. I could also see him getting under duress because Trent Brown was benched. He isn't playing well. Yeah, so nope, I'm not doing that.
Okay, so stay away or lower?
I say lower.
Okay.
Just because Zadarius Smith. Hey, how about this? Zadarius Smith, number 2 in the tie for number 2 is sacks, former Baltimore Raven, and Matt Judon leading the league, former Raven. That's just really dope because knowing both of those guys, knowing how hard they work, that was pretty cool. So shout out to Zadarius and Matthew Judon.
And they might both eat on Thanksgiving, no pun intended, if the Patriots offensive line's been shaky all year, and if Darrisaw's not playing, both quarterbacks might not have a great time.
Well, here's the other part too that I love is, man, Matthew Judon just isn't impacting the game on third down, on passing downs, first down, second down. Like he's just stepping up, impacting the run. Defensive player of the year, he's right there with Michael Parsons because of how he's impacting the game. And the key component, he's making his teammates better.
And especially in the absence of Christian Barmore, who, as a rookie last year, was doing things that like rookie Aaron Donald was doing, like a truly impactful defensive tackle. So him being out and now will continue to be out for at least 3 more weeks.
Yep.
Judon's been amazing. So yeah, I definitely think he's right there. And if this defense carries this offense to the playoffs, I will be furious if anyone other than Judon gets it.
Well, also too, shout out to Carl Davis, right?
Oh yeah.
Who's former Raven too, who, he was just trying to figure out how to get himself together. And so he's doing a great job. So it's always good to see Carl playing the game. And then another former, he was San Diego first, played with him, Lawrence Guy. Guy, senior now. He was up there.
Wonder where he got that from.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, 79.5 receiving yards Thursday versus Buffalo. He went 7 for 76 last week.
I'm waiting for Tre'Davious White to play. They've got sustained some sustained injuries. Shout out to St. Brown, Compton, California, dog. Mr. Universe is his pops. He's been bringing up his boys to be professional football players since they were little kids. So I'm a ride with the Compton native, dog.
And you talk the St. Browns as a family unit, as a parental unit. Let them name more things. They give their kids the Equinemius and Amon-Ra. Incredible names. They might be the best named family on the planet.
How about this? Mom is German, dad is Mr. Universe. So it's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
They're pretty dope, man.
Tom Brady, 274.5 passing yards at Cleveland, coming off a bye. Godwin's looked better recently. I think Mike Evans has been banged up all season, so I don't even know if that matters.
How much? 275?
275 or 274. Yeah, so 275. Yeah.
Man, but see, that's tough because I could see him having 220, 235 and winning a game.
Right.
Almost 300 passing yards. I don't know. Has he had 300 passing? How many times has he had?
Twice.
So Tom Brady has gone over 275 twice this year. Cleveland is not playing well, but Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney aren't slouches.
No, they sure aren't.
Right? Even though people think they are, they're not. I don't know. He may get 276, but if you're asking me, can he all of a sudden turn it on with a lack of running game? I'm just not sure they can do it. Well, he may do it. Yeah.
What I was going to say, like Tampa, they were so stubborn the first half of the season. They were always running on first down. They've kind of abandoned that. And they've Leonard Fournette, before he got hurt, lost his starting job. So they had been switching it up on that front. And the one thing I've noticed with Brady the past, call it 5 weeks, he started to trust Cade Otton, the rookie tight end. Yeah. And when Tom has a tight end he trusts, he's just a different quarterback. He goes to a different level. So with that, that's where I lean the higher, but you're the expert here. So
but I'm not sold on Brian Leftwich and his offensive game plans lately. It's been so helter-skelter. I'm not convinced.
I mean, literally,
actually, it scares me. It scares me. It scares me that you're saying, Steve, what do you think? I'm scared. I don't know, because it's like what we're supposed to expect out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're getting the total opposite. Like the games they're supposed to suck, they play well. The games they're supposed to play well, they stink it up. So I'm not sure.
Right.
Like I don't know. So I'm gonna say lower. I'm gonna say lower. I'm gonna say two. Listen, if Jonathan Jones was 1.5 yards short, you best believe I can see Tom Brady doing 272 yards.
Right. Higher or lower.
Which is still a good day.
Oh, yeah, of course. Higher or lower 0.5 passes thrown to Tom Brady this week.
No. Don't throw that man another pass. He don't want it anyway.
No, he sure doesn't.
Man, I love me some Tom, but goodness gracious, I ain't gonna do that. No. Tom, look. I'm not even, it's gonna be so inappropriate what I say, I'm gonna get in trouble. But it has to do with he looked like a fish out of water. How about that? That?
Okay. Christian Kirk, 64.5 receiving yards against Baltimore, also coming off a bye.
He's been playing well. They're playing a lot of zone coverage. Here's the other part. The Ravens have to figure out, with Kyle Hamilton going down, what's going to happen. I say he'll get those 64 yards, because 64 yards for a team like Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, man, it could be a damn winter blizzard. They're going to throw that ball.
Yeah, we've seen that.
They're going to throw the ball. The element has nothing to do with them. They're going to throw that football.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, what?
We'll figure it. Yeah.
What are you talking about? House on fire? Throw the football. What? Tommy John surgery? Throw the football. We don't care what you got going on in your personal life. We're going to throw that football. So, yes, I'm going with that.
Christian Watson only catches touchdowns now. The rookie.
I know. Yeah.
46.5 receiving yards. They're playing at Philly this week. So this is a good test for the rookie. This is probably the best cornerback
46?
tandem he'll see. 46.5 receiving. He's coming off 48 last week. The week before he had, I think he had over 100 because he had that.
Yeah, no, he'll get 46. That's not a lot of yards with this offense, right? Now, if you say 100, that's going to be tough.
Right.
Because what's going to get them in trouble is this this defense. So I can see them throwing a few screens. So yeah, he'll get 46 yards.
And it's not on
now.
here.
If 46, if you're saying the Carolina Panthers were Baker Mayfield, now that'd be tough, right? But no, Aaron Rodgers will get him 46 yards.
What could Baker Mayfield do? Because I don't think he's done in the NFL. Someone will give him a backup.
Oh, he's done. He can.
People are very desperate. People are very desperate.
No, not that desperate. Not watching that boy play.
Is there anything he could do to get back to not even the guy who brought him to the playoffs, just a league average quarterback? Is there anything
go sit on the bench and shut up. That's what he could do.
He's just cooked. He's done.
Well, he's done. He's done. And I keep saying it. If I'm Sam Darnold, I ain't getting out there. Nope. Mm-mm.
This is not my problem. Yeah.
This is not. Nope. Mm-mm. That ain't my problem. Nope. It's like, look, Sam Darnold has been signed up for the neighborhood watch. Sam Darnold like, I ain't watching none of y'all houses. Y'all better get some house alarms. I'm not fooling with y'all. I'm
watching my house. I'm watching my house, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. I got what are they called? Nest. I got everything. I got everything watched.
ADT, all of it.
ADT, CPI, Watchdog. I got everything. But Sam, we signed you up for neighborhood watch. Hey, don't. Sam Darnold. You remember in Friday when they wanted to go over there and get their bike back from Debo?
Yeah.
Man, let Debo have that bike, dog. Don't mess. I told you don't mess with that man. I'm not playing, bro. If they ask me, you say, "Hey, Steve, what? Go ahead, ask me. Go be Coach Wilkes." This is Wednesday. All right, let's go. Hold on. All right, go.
Hey, Steve, we want you to start this weekend. Are you ready? How's the ankle feeling?
I think I got COVID.
COVID?
I got COVID. Yes.
We don't even test for that anymore. You're in.
No, I'm testing. I'm testing myself. I got a home kit.
Posting the picture. I got the COVID. Yeah.
I came back negative. Nope. Girlfriend, dog. Hey, my iPad doesn't have power. It doesn't work. I'm sorry, I didn't study.
You're drawing the positive line on the test. You've got the red Sharpie out. You're drawing the line yourself.
I'm not. So remember the New York Giants? New York Giants used to have a test. It was like 350 questions.
Okay.
I was at the Blue-Gray game. Or the Shrine game when it was out in California or in Alabama. And the New York Giants had a test, 352 questions. Why am I doing this? The point is, I remember doing that test about 10 questions in. I was like, how many questions? I started looking. I said, man, I ain't trying to play for the Giants. Nope, I ain't doing this test. I turned in my test and moved on, right? That's what I'm telling. No, I have no desire to play for this. I am not screwing up my 10-year job as a backup to over here help y'all. Absolutely not. You better go to PJ.
Even mentally for Darnold, not playing
I'm
at all
done.
This year.
I'm not playing.
Week 18?
Hell no, I'm not playing.
Okay.
You lose everything. You lose every single thing possible if you play.
Even for him mentally, sitting off a year, not a problem? Year and a half because he hasn't played since last year early?
What about what has Sam Darnold done up to this far that has impressed you?
Oh, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So all I could do is have the mystery of not playing so people can say, well, let's get him in the building and see how he does. He knows football. He just can't execute good football.
Right.
Be a backup.
Yeah.
Be a Matt Barkley. Look at Matt Barkley. Man, he come in, play a little bit, cool. The part that I'm concerned about with the Carolina Panthers is like with Matt Corral, is he's a young guy, right? He's humble. like Matt Corral today with Liz Frank, he's sitting there, he's down on himself, man. It's a great opportunity. My problem is like what we're seeing, like Baker Mayfield. Oh, he's humble, right? Hey, I was humble when I first got drafted. We all come in, right? I just want to make the team. I want to help my team win a championship. All of a sudden, you start throwing touchdown passes, making catches, and guess what? You start feeling. Your chest start poking out. You start feeling yourself. My thing is, can Matt Corral, if he becomes the guy in the next couple of years, will he start to go in the direction that we hear stories of the character issues that he had at Ole Miss? That's the only problem I have with him. And the other part, if you would have played Matt Corral with the starters against the New England Patriots, we wouldn't be having this problem right now. Man, some of the players that were blocking for Matt Corral in that game aren't – I mean, how many of those guys are really playing right now? How many are on the roster?
Right.
Not very many.
Right.
Matt Rule rested. He rests the starters for the Carolina Panthers in that preseason game as if like our team was going to the playoffs. Like that we were so good. Well, let's just save them. What are they saving them for?
Right. And why risk this kid against other starters who were just in the playoffs last year?
So that Matt Rule is the gift that keeps on giving even after. And hey, also too, Matt Rule has all of a sudden come out from under a rock.
Oh no. What's he saying?
Bro, he's all of a sudden he's on his media blitz. So you know what that means?
He's got that college job coming soon.
I think by this weekend we should hear something. He's on Good Morning Football right now. He's CBS. He's all of a sudden come. I'm telling you, he's I would say either Nebraska or Auburn. He has one of those jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see Kiffin is trying to make it as clear as possible he's not taking the Auburn job, to the point where I think he might be taking the Auburn job. But if he doesn't.
I know. How about that? Huh?
Very weird.
So do you not take the job because somebody told on you, or do you take the job?
I mean, Brady just unretired because someone spoiled his retirement. So we see how people are when it comes to.
Well, we probably know who spoiled his retirement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
He wasn't on this list. Well, he wasn't on this list, but I did want to ask you about Allen Robinson the rest of the season. Quarterback situation, very shaky, but no Cooper Kupp. If he's someone on your team, are you starting him with confidence, or is it just like, we'll see?
You start him with hope and a prayer. Thoughts and prayers.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. Speaking of that, a few people, when we talked about are the Rams done, a few people put on their reached out to us and put on their Super Bowl trophies of Matthew Stafford, and they go, "How many do you have, Steve?" Well, let me answer it for you, people. I have the same amounts of Super Bowl trophies as you guys.
Right.
0. But keep hitting that subscribe button and keep coming.
It's also like we acknowledge they won, but they they left the cupboard as bare as possible moving forward. That was the problem.
Yeah. So, oh well. So let's go week 12. Who you got?
I mean, my goal the rest of the season is just going to be Kansas City versus whoever Kansas City's playing, because if Mahomes isn't playing, we've talked about how bad offenses are around the world, around the league. So Mahomes, he's playing the Rams. Great, I'm there. That's my goal. Mahomes versus doesn't matter. I want to watch the best of the best, and he is the best of the best. That's my goal.
Mine would be, I want to see how Green Bay and Philly goes.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a true test of Philly. I think it's going to be a true test to see what else can they blame. What else can Aaron Rodgers blame all these other people for? So, how bad is this ship gonna burn before it completely sinks in Green Bay?
Yeah, it hasn't.
So
it hasn't gone great.
So that's my gold. What's your silver?
I'm going to give it to New England, Minnesota. This is 2 playoff teams right now. And this right now, New England has, I can't remember seeing a stranger schedule. We play this Thursday, we play next Thursday, and then we play Monday, and then we play Sunday night. That's how we go into December.
I like Thursday back-to-back because then that's actually a full week.
For sure, and it's a full week for both of them because Buffalo also plays this Thursday. So it is fair in that regard. But yeah, give me New England, Minnesota. Let's see if Kirk can win a primetime game against a really good defense. I'm not so
sure.
Great defense. What makes me nervous is Justin Jefferson was quiet this week. He does not stay quiet in consecutive weeks. I would have preferred he had a very loud week this week so he could be quiet on Thursday. I don't anticipate him being all that quiet on Thursday.
So does Jonathan Jones travel with Justin Jefferson? That's a great question.
Probably. I mean, it's going to be Jonathan Jones and McCourty probably. They'll both be on him. They'll be following him back to the Viking sideline. They're going to be in him with the shower with him. They're going to be on him all day.
Unwanted threesome. Okay, good to know. All right.
What's your silver?
My silver is my Carolina Panthers. Can they get right with Denver Broncos? I was supposed to be done with the Denver Broncos, but I have to watch it.
This has to be your least favorite football game of all time. The Broncos Panthers. Yeah. Is Baker playing again?
You want to know the score? Would you like to know the score?
Let's hear it.
I think the Panthers, if PJ Walker's playing, I think the Panthers can win. I say it's 20. Ooh. Actually.
18-17 final?
Yes. But here's the thing. Patrick Surtain the second versus DJ Moore. That's going to be a good matchup. But I'm afraid can the O-line hold up to the Denver Broncos? I'm interested to see, though, how Russell Wilson this will be a low-scoring game. I can see a 21-16 Denver, and I can see a 21-16 Carolina.
Hey, predicting Denver to score 21 is a bold take based on what we know about the Broncos.
Yeah, that's true. My bronze is I'm stuck between these 2 games. One, I want to see Chase Young with the Commanders, but also I'm interested which Cincinnati Bengals are going to show up against the Tennessee Titans.
Is Tennessee just going to kind of do this every year where people don't think they're that good and then they win some games and then we look up, it's December and they're the 1 seed again? Is that just what Tennessee is just going to keep doing to us?
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. Tennessee is a football team. If you can't finish, they will expose you. If you don't have lane integrity in a run game, they will expose you. If you don't have discipline, they will expose you. If you're a team that does not want to play disciplined football, they will expose you. If this is a team who doesn't have a true identity, they will expose you. The Tennessee Titans are the type of football team that you hate to see because when they get off the bus and when they get on the bus, it's the same team either way. Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder if they're going to run the ball today. Yeah, they are. I wonder if will they give Derrick Henry the ball 35 times if they have to. Yes, they will.
Yeah, they sure will. Happily, with a smile on their face.
Yes. Here you go, Derrick. Hey, who are we giving the ball to? Derrick Henry? Hey, I wonder if Derrick Henry cannot come out and stretch. But you guess what? Derrick Henry going to get that football.
And it's the right call. It's the right call every time. They're like the opposite of the Broncos. Like the Broncos have no idea who they are. And the Titans are very comfortable in who they are. But my bronze, I'm going to give it to the Giants and the Cowboys. Division game, Thanksgiving. This looks like the best Thanksgiving slate I can remember since they went to 3 games. Now, I say that very nervously because I look at Buffalo and Detroit, and I look at New York and Dallas, and I go, those look like interesting games. And there's never 3 interesting games, which would make Patriots-Vikings the game that's probably going to stink. So that makes me nervous.
Well, my thing with the Dallas Cowboys is they go out there in Minnesota, and all of a sudden Jerry Jones thinks he's going back to the Super Bowl.
Oh, it doesn't take much for him to think he's going back to the Super Bowl.
What I loved about the Dallas Cowboys is they showed that they could play ball. Now the interesting part is when it comes down Dallas versus Philly, that's going to be a primetime game. Wherever it was supposed to play is playing at prime time. But I also don't think the winner of that game, if Dallas wins that game, I still don't believe that Dallas is really that team that we think they are, because you also got to remember, let me get my notes correct. They gave up 200 yards to Green Bay rushing and 200 yards to the Chicago Bears rushing. I'm not sure that the Dallas Cowboys can consistently play the brand of football that they played against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend.
Well, how many teams in the playoffs will actually stick to the run against them?
The Tennessee Titans.
For sure, but they would have to see them in the Super Bowl. So it's like the NFC, like the 49ers would. I believe the 49ers.
Yes, they will. Yep.
But I think that might be it. Because they just played the Vikings. Vikings didn't do it. The Giants, maybe, but that's a division game, so who knows where that goes. And the Eagles, maybe. But even they like to – well, they actually just give the ball to Miles Sanders over and over and over again. I don't know. That froze. We're back.
I agree. Yeah, you froze. Yeah, now you're back. Yep.
Who is the best team in the NFC right now? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I say Philly has to be. Philly has to be the best team.
I think the 49ers look like they got everything going on right now.
Yeah, they look like they have everything going on. Who did they play?
They played the Cardinals in Mexico City for sure, but it's more than 1 week. Like it's more than they're getting their defense is getting healthy, and that
getting healthy. What happens if they don't? What happens if they don't completely get healthy?
Then I think the guys that have been in there have a lot of experience from playing this year.
But see, that's what I'm saying, is getting healthy and being healthy. The 49ers down the stretch generally get unhealthy all the time, and I don't understand why.
It is confusing. It does happen every year.
But they're such a physical team, right? They play smash mouth football. Like if I'm going down there, Seahawks, Arizona, out. Jacksonville, out. New Orleans, out. Green Bay, done. Stick a fork in them. Atlanta Falcons, maybe. Tampa Bay, maybe. But just because these teams go to the playoffs, they're not really making a huge push.
Right?
Like, if the teams that we're talking about, the way the 49ers are and playing, I don't see them, if they don't get healthy, having a legitimate shot to go toe-for-toe with the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles. Hell, the Giants are at least consistent. We know their identity.
The thing with the 49ers, and we're talking about the reason that they came to mind, you're talking about Dallas's run defense being shaky. And the Eagles' run defense, if they have a flaw on that team, it is their run defense.
It's their run game, yes.
And you've seen they just went out, they signed, was it Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh?
Hey, Linval Joseph was out there choking people. He was standing people. That dude got off the couch, and I was like, wow. Just for a second, it made me want to work out. I was like, man, I need to get my life together.
But it's like if Jordan Davis, who was a rookie, but when he was on the field this year, their run defense was substantially better than when he was on the sideline, or since he got that high ankle sprain, looks like he might be done with all of the reinforcements they just tried to sign. If the 49ers are just going to be like, listen, we have Eli Mitchell, we have Christian McCaffrey, try and stop it. I kind of would go with the 49ers in those games.
Yeah, but I am worried about the Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel's combination because they're so hot and cold right now.
Yeah.
Like Deebo Samuel's barely getting 57 yards. Like he's such a better receiver than that. And they're becoming so gadget that is starting to take away from his explosiveness and how he can impact the game on a more consistent basis.
Well, he's also not the healthiest guy either. So do you think that's by design?
Yes, but by design is what you're doing is you're hoping that he could play and he will get healthy as the game goes on. But the problem is you still got their wear and tear. Colder climates, right? They got some away games that are not going to be indoors. They're not going to be in sunny California every single game. So at some point, these ailments are going to rear their ugly head at the wrong time.
How long can a decoy work in a given game? Like if the 49ers know going into the game, listen, we just want you out there so the defense has to account for you.
Well, I mean, it just depends on the coordinator and what he has up. And also, what is Deebo capable of doing? And can they penetrate and get under Jimmy Garoppolo? The key to the 49ers is if you get Jimmy Garoppolo uncomfortable, get him off the spot. That's where he generally tends to make mistakes.
Oh, 1,000%. But what did he throw? 7 times in that playoff game? 9 times? And they still won? So it's like Shanahan knows Jimmy G's deficiencies. He knows the Bitcoin. He sees the market going up and down. So I think game to game. And I think that's why they went and got McCaffrey. They were like, listen, postseason comes, we're going to be running the ball. Trent Williams, we are going to be running behind you. We don't care what tells you have. We're going – go. Trent Williams is going to tell the defense.
No, Trent Williams isn't the problem. Glitchy is the one that's –
excuse me.
Yeah, Trent Williams hasn't been iffy. You know,
No.
Mike McGlinchey is the one that's been struggling.
There was someone a week or two ago that was saying Trent Williams had a tell.
Well, even if he has a tail, run around. You still can't run around him.
Correct. Yeah, that was the play. And then last night on the Deebo touchdown, when Trent Williams was running like a 4-3, blocking people in front of it, it's like, I told you we're running. Go ahead and do something about it. Like,
yeah. Big Deebo try to take his chain.
Huh? Yeah, either of them. So that's where it's like, all right, if it's in Philly, yes, it will be Colt. Well, if there's a coach that's going to stick to the run in the NFC, we know Vrabel will in the AFC. In the NFC, it's going to be Shanahan. That's where it's like, all right, I kind of do like.
Well, I also think Sirianni is sticking with the run too. He's committing it. He's even running plays like the game-winning touchdown with Jalen Hurts. He ran that play. And Jalen Hurts usually follows Jason Kelce. He does, and then veers off wide open. So they're looking at all their deficiencies and their tails, and they're using that against people.
Yeah. I'm not trying to discount Philly. It's just more. Let's just try to take stock. And the AFC, I think we both have the Chiefs right now.
Yeah. So this is off course, but I'm interested to see how the Seahawks bounce back and how the Las Vegas Raiders bounce back. Like, was it a combination of bad football in Denver, or are they really on the fence of making adjustments, on the men's of making adjustments and playing good football?
I feel like Seattle's going to blow the doors off them. There's
blow
nothing,
the doors off of them. Dang.
Yeah, there's just nothing. Like Vegas, that's who they. I mean, again, they could not cross the 50 against the Saints, and as you just said, the Saints are done. They've had nothing to play for a while, and that's team Vegas could do nothing against. Seattle still has Super Bowl aspirations, whether or not they're realistic. That's not for me to say. Well, that's how they believe.
Yeah, well, they put themselves in the hunt, so I agree.
Right,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going there.
I retract that look. I retract that look. Sorry.
That locker room.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that locker room believes they can win a Super Bowl.
And the defense is playing well too.
Correct. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think it's going to be a fun time for Vegas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then the other game I'm looking at, how many points does Miami score on Houston?
Do they call off the dogs early? Is it going to be like a college game? Do they have the backups in the fourth quarter?
Man, is this like this is where we get Tyreek Hill back on track and get him 2,000 yards playing the Houston Texans, especially if Darryl Stingley Jr. is not available still.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a year for rookie corners. I know you don't love corners, but I can't remember the last time.
I don't have a problem with corners. They don't bother me. I don't play football anymore. They don't bother me.
I can't remember a time where it was like 4 or 5 top level rookies came in and made legitimate impacts year one. Yeah, obviously, Stingley can only do so much with Houston, but he's been really good. But
he's learning.
Tariq Woolen, Jack Jones, Sauce Gardner, obviously. Like, there are guys.
Hey, one thing though about Sauce that I noticed, if the Jets go to the playoffs, Sauce needs to learn how to tackle and makes himself available to be a willing tackler in a run game. He's kind of been like, somebody else is going to get him. Like, he made a fumble. He'll make a fumble. He'll punch the ball and do all that stuff. But he needs to be a willing tackler in the run game.
Okay. Is that something you can learn at the NFL level?
You don't have a choice. You either going to learn or people are going to start running at you.
There are corners in the Hall of Fame who didn't love tackling and would choose not to.
But they're in the Hall of Fame. Sauce Gardner is not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure, 1,000%. It's just
so if you're not going to tackle, you better be able to shut people down completely, like Patrick Surtain. Like the Jets play a lot of different variations of coverages. And sometimes Sauce is in 2, sometimes in man, he's in 3. But you're in a division that the winter time is coming and they're going to run a football and they need all 11 players to be involved in stopping the run.
Yeah, there were a couple of Jets who saw Ramondre coming this weekend and they were like, no, thank you. Where I'm also
he got him. It's like, no, I ain't got that. No, that's not my guy. That's your guy.
That's interesting. I haven't heard anyone say that about Sauce yet. That's interesting.
I just saw that. It was a few times. I was like, come on, man. You got to, because teams are going to start to go at him.
Right.
Like, think about Denver. I mean, look at the if you got a playoff game and you have to play the Bills in that weather, bro, they're not going to be throwing the ball a lot. Like, think about and also talking about Buffalo. Nyheim Hines, at some point in the playoffs, Nyheim Hines is going to help that team. Absolutely. He's catching the ball on punt return. He's catching the ball on screens. He's a veteran. Man, he's a hard worker down here from South Carolina. Has a twin sister who was faster than him when he was a kid.
That's crazy.
Nyheim Hines is going to help the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs and later as the season. He gets more and more familiar with this offense.
I was going to say that Buffalo's going to get some weather and move the game. So I don't even know if they're going to be dealing with that anymore. They run.
It's still going to be cold, though.
Of course. Unbearably cold. Inhumanely cold.
Yeah. All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, Steve.
Happy Thanksgiving, Coley. Happy Thanksgiving to the Underdog family. Also, happy Thanksgiving to the Underdog subscribers, to the Cut To It subscribers. And if you do not have a place to go for Thanksgiving, you can always go to Coley's house.
Door's always open.
Door's always open. Not mine. We already got 11 people at the house this Thursday.
A lot of mouths.
Yes, it is. So, all right. I'm Steve Smith Sr.
Coley Mick. See you guys next week.